Can you just imagine a world where ancient wisdom infuses modern science to deeply heal and unlock our full potential, both physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually? Well, in today's podcast, myself and my good friend Mark Furze will be diving deeply into time-tested ancient practices that will help you to do just that. We'll be exploring scientifically proven techniques, classical yogic pranayama techniques that will help you to naturally heal your nervous system and reset your body and mind. We'll also be exploring these esoteric, profound practices of Kundalini yoga and the chakra system. This conversation is packed with breakthroughs that you don't want to miss. It's about helping us to live longer, to live happier, with purpose. So stay with us till the end, because in this episode, we'll be walking you through a roadmap that integrates these ancient time-tested practices into your daily life to unlock the full potential of yourself. And if you're ready to turn your passion for meditation into a new rewarding career, then I've created a free video training and a new PDF guide on 10 steps to becoming a confident, certified meditation teacher, even if you've never taught meditation before. Simply click on the link in the description to get access to the free training. There's no charge for it, and I hope you enjoy it.
Thanks for having me, shall I say? This is your space.
It's great for you to be here. Yeah, I'm normally recording a lot of meditations and a lot of videos in here, so it feels great to have your energy in here with me.
I appreciate it, man. Well, so one of the main things I wanted to talk to you about, well, the first thing was you kind of changed my life. We had this conversation about breathing, and I was telling you how I'm a bad asthmatic, and we were talking about you brought up buteyko and nose breathing and that kind of thing, and you were telling me how that you were sleeping with the mouth tape and all this kind of stuff, and all this fascinating stuff, and I kind of have a bit of a tendency to go down the rabbit hole with these things, so I did a bunch of homework. And since then, that was probably a bit over a month ago. I've only been intentionally trying to breathe through my nose, and it literally has changed my life. I don't have Ventolin anymore. I was having it when things were bad. I was having it probably 5-6 times a day.
Yeah, wow.
And I don't take the preventative because it ruins my singing voice.
Yeah,
so when there's something in the air that gives me like an allergic respiratory reaction, I was taking so much Ventolin. Now, I've taken it twice in about 6 weeks. I think that's how long it's been, 5-6 weeks. That's
fantastic. That's great to hear. That's something
huge.
As simple as, and that it's not just for this month, it's for the rest of your life. So they'll have a powerful effect, and you can refine the breathing practice as well. So you live healthier and could extend your lifespan for 10 years or more, you know?
Well, there's obviously so much to it that, I'm just starting to scratch the surface now.
Okay.
You've done a lot more homework on it.
So obviously I'm not an expert in asthma. However, my mother actually died from asthma and over-medicating. I think was a big problem with what happened with her. But just on that, you're talking about allergies and things like that. So when we nasal breathe, the nose filters toxins and it filters the air. Actually, and the important thing is when we actually breathe out through the nose, some of those toxins are expelled. So on top of the myriad of powerful benefits of nasal breathing, which we could go into, but just on that topic, actually the exhalations through the nose actually expel bacteria and particles and toxins in the air as well. So if you mouth breathe, there's no filtration system. So if you mouth breathe, any allergies, toxins go straight into your mouth, and then it goes straight into the lungs. Whereas when you're nose breathing, there's a big filtration cavities, sinus cavities, that are a big myriad of different, like an air conditioning duct that filters air, changes the temperature, and also produces chemicals such as nitric oxide, which facilitate relaxation, the parasympathetic nervous system, and also the absorption of oxygen into the bloodstream.
Wow.
So we can go deeper into that, but that's just some of the reasons. So, and mouth breathing is modeling people who have asthma, hypertension, diabetes, and you spoke about buteyko. He did a lot of studies with people who were dying. And all the people who were very sick and were dying, they all were mouth breathers.
Wow.
So
it's like a last effort of the body to try and hang on when it's just breathing too much through the mouth.
Well, it's actually accelerating their lifespan. The more you rapid mouth breathe, the more you're depleting your body of oxygen. Prana, if we wanted to go into that, can be considered as energy, a little different to oxygen. You're putting more pressure on your heart, so your cardiovascular system is getting depleted. Wow. So it's stressing your heart out as well. So that's affecting all of your circulatory system. You're raising your blood pressure. So the more you rapid mouth breathe, you're raising, and all this can be validated by science too. Sure. This is not, we could go into the scientific studies and we could find myriad references to this. So that's what's happening. And that would, for all of us, it doesn't matter if you're a healthy individual, that's creating stress and anxiety. So it's probably, maybe it could be exacerbated for people who have asthma.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's just enhancing that fact. You're breathing in allergies straight into your mouth. There's no filtration system. It's making you a little more anxious, nervous. Your heart, it increases your heart rate. And then possibly triggering an attack. And then you're having more Ventolin. And obviously, if follow your doctor's orders, and if you need to take those drugs, do them. But long term, they'll wear your nervous system down, and that'll wear your heart down more. And so, and it reduces your lifespan and your quality of life. So the breath is one of the most powerful, I'm not too sure what to use as a term, but it's one of the most powerful things we can do in our life is to breathe correctly. Because if we don't breathe for a couple of minutes, then we just simply die. So I think the importance of the breath is minimized, and the other danger is the rapid mouth breathing techniques that are taught today, which are not conducive to our health. They're not designed from, the yogic breathing techniques are refined from 5,000 to 10,000 years. There's been a refinement in all the texts. From the earliest texts where it's referenced, there's minimal reference because the sutras are designed for a teacher to expand them and to teach. So Patanjali Yoga Sutras is one text that gives basic pranayama techniques. And the basic premise is to extend the breath holds, extend the duration of the breath per minute, and to extend the holds after the inhalation and exhalation. And then later hatha yoga texts expanded on these and gave more precise techniques and various other pranayama techniques that have various uses. They can introduce different states. They can shift you to access the subconscious mind, the superconscious mind. So we're going off on another little tangent here. The breath can be used as like ways to access the subconscious and the superconscious mind as well. So certain pranayama techniques are used for that.
So what's pranayama mean?
Pranayama basically is related to, it's actually controlling the breath. That's a simplification of the word. So there's a myriad of yogic practices that are designed to put you into very deep, peaceful states where you can access the subconscious, to purify the subconscious mind, to analyze it. And also we can utilize the breath to tune into more higher states of consciousness as well.
Well, that makes perfect sense, because I'm sure everybody has been through certain practices where you are changing your breathing in order to relax. Everyone's kind of done that thing, whether it's through the mouth or the nose. Or if you're panicking, what's your breath doing? It's usually breathing fast.
Through your mouth. Yeah,
and if you want to calm down, even if it is through your mouth and you just breathe more slowly, you're going to calm down. That's kind of everybody at least can understand that. But then there's obviously far deeper practices to create very different states of consciousness, like as you said.
Yeah, before. Different states of consciousness. Yeah,
I've done some of the holotropic breathwork stuff, like the Wim Hof stuff, and other methods of doing that, where it's basically just, I did one where I was lying down, and it was a group of us, and it was 2 deep breaths into the nose and then 1 out through the mouth. So it was like, and it was that fast and that intense, and just go. And we did that for nearly an hour, and man, I don't know what happened, but I think I either passed out or I just went to sleep, but I was gone for a while, and it felt like I just kind of went to sleep, but it didn't feel the same as going to sleep normally. Okay. And the other thing that happened, we've done this a few times with that kind of holotropic breath work, I get all mangled, like my hands mangle up my mouth.
You're depleting oxygen in your body and your brain. Yeah.
Is that what? So is that because I get all like T-Rex kind of? Yeah. And I'm kicking my legs around.
So this is muscle contraction. It's like a protection thing.
Right.
So you're putting more pressure on your heart.
Right.
Because as I mentioned, the circulation.
Yeah.
You're reducing the circulation in the body. It's doing the opposite of what they tell you.
Right. Okay. Because look, if I'm honest, I guess I'm doing these things because I'm intrigued and I'm searching. And I want to know how I want to feel it before I believe it. So something's happening. But if I'm honest, it doesn't seem like that's good for me to be.
Well, this is a protection. So you're protecting yourself because all the muscle are constricting.
Right.
It's raising your blood pressure. So the kind of analogy is if you wanted to do that as a recreational thing to have fun. And maybe you get a little high
instead of taking drugs
from doing that.
Sure.
Then that's everybody's choice, and we've all probably done things like that. But if you want to do that for your health and wellness and to extend your lifespan and for your health and well-being, then if you think you're doing that for that reason, you're in big trouble.
You're right. Okay.
You're in big trouble. Trust me. Yeah.
You're right. So
according to all the science and according to 5,000 years of evolution of these yogic practices, which are all scientifically validated. Right. So I think I'm really passionate about this because my mother died from breathing incorrectly.
Absolutely.
Okay. And if I had the techniques, because I wasn't really a yoga teacher when she was alive, that sort of happened. So if I had all these techniques that I know now, she could be still alive because that's how she died. Yeah. From too much Ventolin and asthma attacks and and all that. So
that was, I was taking, and I have for my whole life. I'm 37 now, and I've taken a lot of Ventolin in my life. And every GP I talk to, I ask them. Because I feel like instinctively, I'm like, this can't be good for me, taking all this Ventolin. Yeah. And they say, no, there's no side effects really. It's fine. Okay, I don't want to scare you, but maybe it's great that you have had the positive effects of the nasal breathing. But she had this rare disease called, this is so many years ago, mucormycosis. And what this does, the theory is that because they're taking so much medication, the body has no defense systems and a fungus gets created in the body. Wow. And it's like a rapid form of cancer, and it attacks the kidneys or the brain and actually eats away the brain. So that's what happened to her. Yeah. Wow. I was actually in Norway and she came to visit me. She got really sick. She ended up in hospital and they said she was going to die. Then they took one kidney out. She sort of recovered a little bit. And then she was going to die again. Then took the other kidney out. So because of the fungus attacked her, all of the body systems and it affected her kidneys. Wow. And then she eventually got transported back home and she eventually died. She was on dialysis and it was pretty traumatic for her. So I'm sure it was for you too, man.
Yeah, so that could have been, I believe that if she would have known the correct breathing practices and obviously yoga and meditation, it's highly likely that would have not happened.
Yeah.
And going off on another tangent, we know from people, there's studies now of people who were given steroids and that for COVID. Mm-hmm. And there was some sort of black, I can't remember the terms, but it was a similar vein of a disease because there were people who were taking, who were really sick in COVID in hospital. They were giving them all these similar drugs, and it was so.
When you think about,
anyway, that's off another tangent.
Yeah, I guess that instinctively, I just kind of, I believe that the closer to the way we are naturally meant to be is always going to be better. That's just kind of, that just feels like it makes sense to me.
I was thinking the same thing. So I guess the main point of all this is that if you can maintain your health naturally, it will increase your longevity.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you can argue against that. I mean, I completely understand how people can. There are certain medicines that relieve symptoms, and that's necessary.
I'm not saying not to take.
But as as the solution, there can't be a better solution than doing it naturally. But there's no money to be made when you're doing it naturally.
There's no money. That's a whole new topic.
You can't sell a product. There's no product to sell.
Yeah, there's no product to sell, and
so it makes sense why that Techo and that kind of stuff is not widely celebrated because.
Well, the drug companies don't like it either.
No, of course they don't. Of course they don't. So, why do you think that people don't know how to breathe properly?
I think especially I've noticed over the last, I'm not sure how many years, but when I first started yoga, the only really techniques were the pranayama techniques, and the Buteyko technique was known then as well. Since the last 5 or 10 years, the people have sort of been more drawn to the shamanic breathing techniques, and they're getting these. They're having some sort of interesting experiences, and they think that's useful for them. And maybe it's the same as taking a drug. You might have an interesting experience, but if you take drugs all the time, every day, we know what's going to happen. You know. So that's, and it's education as well. There's the spread of the beautiful thing about the yoga and meditation is that with the rapid acceleration of information on the internet. There's been this rapid spread of information, and it's been a beautiful thing. It's made yoga, meditation, and these holistic therapies, it's to increase their awareness, and so many people are drawn to them because of, they notice the feeling, they notice the benefits of doing a yoga class and breathing practices. But the flip side of that is a lot of these techniques, there's no science behind them, and they can be very detrimental.
Sure.
So for an example, I've seen videos, young, strong men, 20-year-old, right, prime of their life. You put them in this breathing techniques that these shamans are teaching, and within 5-10 minutes, these guys, strong, powerful men, are bawling their eyes out. And then the whole room is crying. Most of the women, big percentage of the women are all crying. Big, strong men who are going to the gym. They could even be athletes. They're all crying, upset. So they're put in this vulnerable state from the breathing, which is, there's parallels there with asthma attacks.
Sure.
And then the teacher, after a half an hour or certain period, calms them down and teaches them like a basic meditation technique so they all calm down. And then they think that the teacher has solved all their problems, and then the teacher generally sells them more products.
I see.
Yeah,
I've been in those rooms a couple of times.
Yeah, I have too. Yeah,
and I guess what the teacher explained when I was in that situation was that you are expelling trauma that you have got stored, so that's why you're upset. So you're getting rid of traumatic memories and unprocessed stuff, so that's why you get upset. And I guess, look, for me, I don't know, so that seems like, okay, that checks out. But so let's so I don't, and look, I'm not saying that that's completely correct, but I remember when I had that experience, I was thinking, okay, but it didn't fix the problem. I just remember the most recent one I did. Yeah. I left, and my wife was actually going to come with me. Well, she actually booked it.
She booked it,
and she was like, "Let's go this
Mel,
together."
obviously really well-meaning and concerned for your health.
Absolutely. And she couldn't end up coming, so I went on my own.
Yeah.
And did this. It was like a full holotropic breathwork thing.
Yeah.
And I was crying, and I was in, and then afterwards, I was like, I called her and she said, "How was it?" And I was like, "Wow, that was intense." And she said, "How do you feel?" I said, "Not good. I don't."
Yeah. Okay.
And it fucked me up for a while. Like I got sick after that.
Yeah, especially being asthmatic. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually got some tummy bug thing after that and was not well.
Well, the nasal breathing actually helps your digestion as well. I hope you're finding this conversation very interesting and insightful and inspirational. And if you'd like to take a deeper dive into these techniques to master your meditation practice, or perhaps you might be curious about enhancing and upscaling your meditation practice and becoming a meditation teacher, then I've created a free guide on 10 steps to becoming a confident, world-class meditation teacher, even if you're new to meditation. Simply click on the link or button below in the description to get access to your copy. Historically, Western scholars have come to the conclusion that Tantra has evolved from other texts, later texts, and then it's evolved to the latest Hatha Yoga Pradipika and the Shiva Samhita, which are very important texts. So they've, what is the word for it?
Borrowed.
No, not borrowed. That's their conclusion from reading the text.
Okay.
So
trying to distill the good stuff.
No, not distill. No, it's not about it. Categorized.
Okay.
Categorized the historical timeline of Tantra. This is what I'm talking about. Yeah. Yeah. So, however, the oral tradition is that everything evolved from Tantra. So Buddhism, all the yogic practices, all the meditative practices have evolved from Tantra. That's the verbal tradition, and a lot of texts were actually, when the Mongol invasion come into India, they burnt a lot of texts and they destroyed a lot of texts. And there's still hundreds and hundreds of, there's thousands of texts now. So you can imagine the volume of
what it used to be.
These texts is just incredible. So the Bible and the Quran, they're very, obviously popular books, but within this vast myriad of ancient texts, there's literally thousands of books. So as big or much bigger than those two little books. So we're talking about a vast amount of philosophy. So in that concept, the verbal tradition is that yoga derived from Shiva, which is a tantric god, and then all these it evolved from the Vedas to the Upanishads, Buddhism, Patanjali Yoga Sutras. All of the tantric texts evolved later. So the categorization was that the tantric texts become later, I think 12th century. But the oral tradition, and it seems very evident from my research that everything has evolved from Tantra, because the Rig Veda is very ritualistic and there's tantric practices in the Rig Veda.
Wow.
So
Tantra's
Tantra's
the
I believe everything is evolved from Tantra.
Wow.
So that's if you speak to these tantric masters and you analyze all the techniques, that it seemed evident from me that everything has evolved from what they've categorized to become later. It's actually everything evolved from Tantra.
It's so fascinating, man.
So,
you know what? Just on a broader thing, I kind of feel like something that I've learned in life is that we live in a world and in a culture and in a society where things are not what they seem. For instance, let's come back to this breathing thing. I've been told my whole life, you're asthmatic, you have to have medication. This is incurable, right? Yeah. And okay, so I take the medication, I do what I'm told. But there's part of me that has always felt like I don't believe that. Yeah. And now I do something as simple as change my breathing. Now, don't get me wrong, it was the first week of me only breathing through my nose. It was quite uncomfortable. I actually felt like... Yeah, it can be uncomfortable. I felt like I couldn't get enough air and I was a bit stressed because I'd have moments where I'm not symptom-free from asthma, but I do know how to stop myself from needing to take a Ventolin and can just do it with my breathing, like simple breath holds. That does it for me.
Yep.
But the point of that is like, that's an example of me realizing the things that humans can do and that we're capable of doing, it just seems to be that it is so much greater than what
absolutely.
we are told we are capable of. So,
absolutely.
So I guess what I'm wondering is, what was the trigger for you that made you go, I'm going to do a bit of searching, because I feel like a lot of the things I've been told about the way the world works is bullshit. Do you know what it was for you that made you go, no, I'm going to go and look elsewhere. I'm going to go to a different culture? Because you've been all over the world, right?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't, for me, it was different. I wasn't, and I don't think everything in the world is bullshit. Everything is part of it. Everything is part of this amazing creation that we live in. And some of it I don't agree with in that. And, there's certain things that we probably don't need to go into. So for me, my experience was very different. Most people, they're spiritual seekers. They have trauma, or they're seeking enlightenment, or they're seeking to heal themselves. My journey was totally different. I was working as a sound engineer. I actually had a pretty bad accident, but that was years later. I was just in Byron Bay at a backpackers. I saw us on yoga. It's 20 years ago. And I thought, what is that word? What is that thing? And I just went, okay, there's a class at 12 o'clock. I'm here in Byron Bay. Just go and go.
Oh, wow. So you just kind of fumbled into it.
I'll go to the class, So I went to the class, and it was an Aussie guy who actually had lived in India and had a deep connection with his guru, had his shoes and everything. And I just had these interesting experiences where back then I was working for a lot of international acts and doing a lot of touring. And obviously, life was very interesting and probably quite stressful. But I just started to have this interesting experience in the class where I started to have humor about myself. And I had these interesting experiences. And then I actually lived with that guy in Byron, bilingual. And then that just led to me to going to more classes. And then I went to India, did my first teacher training in India. I lived in different ashrams in Rishikesh.
Well, so there's a big, that's the thing I'm intrigued by. What was it? So you obviously got in pretty deep and then went, you know what? I'm going to India. I'm going to go to...
Yeah.
Because that's a huge culture shock, right? It's not...
Yeah, and India wasn't something that I didn't have a passion to go to. Like, I've had a passion for traveling around the world, but not India.
Right, until the yoga called you there.
Yeah, and I read Yogananda's book too, Autobiography of a Yogi, which is a...
So did you move to India, or you just went to go and do some retreats, that kind of thing? Yeah, I did I was living in Europe at the time, and I just searched on the internet, and I don't know why, I never wanted to be a yoga teacher. I just thought I'll go and live in an ashram and go a bit deeper into the practices. Cool, man.
So it was...
It's a new experience.
It was an adventure for me. So there was no like seeking to heal.
Yeah. Just go on a journey.
Just go on a journey, yeah.
Yeah. So how long were you there?
That time I was in India for about 5-6 months.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you lived in India.
I lived on different ashrams. And then I come back here. Obviously worked more in the music industry. And then I wasn't even going to teach. And the interesting thing was when I come back from India, I was 50-something kilos. I'm like 80-something kilos now because I got pretty sick. My knees were like really damaged from trying to do too much yoga. Okay. So I couldn't even sit cross-legged, which I can sit pretty comfortably now. I got no problems with my knees now. So I wasn't even wanting to teach. And then I actually got a job in a gym selling gym memberships. And I was just like, they didn't want to give me the job because I just came back from India. I was this really calm and chilled out guy, skinny little guy. And they didn't want to give me the job because they didn't think I would be able to sell the gym memberships. Okay. But it turned out that I was just a gun at it because I believed in health, So I become super successful at selling gym memberships. And then another company was calling up trying to get me to work for them. So they're trying to headhunt me because I was like the best interesting salesman. And I went in there and I said, look, I'm probably going to move out of the industry. And I ended up going into banking and finance, which is interesting. But I said, I'd like to teach some yoga classes. Do you need a yoga teacher? And they went, I can speak to the group fitness coordinator. So that was my first. That was my first yoga class that I taught.
Okay.
From that. So I wasn't even looking.
So you were like well overqualified.
Wasn't even teaching. At that time, I only just studied in India.
Yeah.
So from that experience, I started teaching, and then I got to a point where I was teaching at various universities. For some reason, I had a passion for teaching in universities, which most people find really challenging. And I got to a point where what triggered more studies was I was rigging the PA for Eagles, and I hurt my back, and I was in a hospital for a little bit, and then I was just lying in so much pain, and that triggered me to want to study more. So I studied another 2 extensive yoga teacher training courses.
Okay.
So that was, on top of Thailand, Sri Lanka, meditating with monks and things like that. So that's sort of a basic overview of that journey. So, yeah.
So what would you say about the state of yoga as it exists in India or Thailand compared to here in Australia? Because I know that a majority of people would probably just presume that a yoga class is a workout / stretch class.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all it is.
Depends on which place in India too, well, because in India it's not all fantastic quality. I think where I studied was amazing, and the training I had in Australia was like world class. So I think that's why I think I can talk on these topics, because I've had a lot of official training. Like I'm classified as a senior yoga teacher with Yoga Australia, which is, you can't really go any higher than that. It depends. It has been primarily focused in many areas more on the physical aspect, which is fine. But there's so many, yoga encompasses so many different styles of yoga too. There's Bhakti yoga, which is devotion. There's Nada yoga, which is related to sound and vibrations and mantras. There's Karma yoga. Within this philosophy, there's so many different other practices that, depending on your temperament and your lifestyle, you need to integrate more of that into your lifestyle. Find the balance. So, and everyone has different temperaments and they're evolving at different ways, and they're in different journeys on their spiritual path. So there's a myriad of other yogic practices that we can integrate in, which I think it's been minimalized a little bit. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
It has.
It's almost a religion, perhaps, in certain places. Like you look at Christianity, and there's a lot of teachings about how to live your life and lessons that you learn through the stories from the Bible. And people go to church because, well, I guess they want to learn about methods of wisdom of how to live, and kind of find a place. Well, it's a philosophy, right? But yoga, aside from the physical exercise, there's an endless amount of philosophy, right?
Yeah, but it's not a religion. Yeah.
Right.
Some people might. Well, there should be no dogma.
I see.
Okay, so I know some teachers can be dogmatic, but there should be no dogma. We're going back to these tantric basic philosophies that we don't force anything on anybody. We don't harm anybody.
It's like, here's an idea.
We live our life.
How do you feel?
Yeah.
Take it or leave it.
Yeah, so it's a science of evolution. So that is what yoga is. It's a science of evolution, how we evolve as human beings. So there should be, and the basic yogic philosophy is that we accept all religions, we accept everybody's belief and everybody's faith. So there's no doctrine or dogma. It's all about you evolving as a human being, and if you wish to pursue that path, developing connection with your faith in a higher reality, whatever that is to you.
Right.
So,
yeah, okay, so there's similarities to Christianity, but I guess I understand that there's definitely a lot of dogma involved in it.
Yeah, but not...
In the Christianity, I mean, not in the...
some are like Yoganandra, and there's a lot of people in India who are deep into Christianity as well.
Right.
Jesus is one of their gurus.
Okay.
Especially Yoganandra was quite, paid a lot of emphasis on that.
Mm-hmm.
But they will accept Jesus and Muhammad, everybody.
Sure.
So there's no...
there's no exclusivity.
There's no exclusivity. And the Buddha taught, I think the Buddha was interesting, he taught neither belief or non-belief in God.
Right.
So within that yogic philosophy, you don't have to believe in any gods.
Right.
They accept everything. You could just believe in energy or whatever your belief is. It's accepted. That's why there's so many different gods and so many different myriads. So
sure.
That's how it's different to religion. So Christianity and Sikhism and all these people have their own gods, and they're very dogmatic, and
yes.
it just turns into wars and
yes.
etc. So the yogic philosophy is they accept everybody. There's no dogma. It's more about you evolving as a person.
Yeah, a lot more evolution and exploration, it seems.
Yeah, so it's the science of evolution is one way you could look at it. It can be viewed through different lenses.
Sure.
But I think traditionally, and the beauty of the yogic text is, which I think has been lost in the world today, is that there is a continuation, a scientific continuation of the practices. So they've been refined from the Rig Veda to the latest Hatha Yoga texts. They've been, the texts and the practices have been refined and additions have been made, like all science. Mm. And this is why those practices are so powerful. Like my teacher was one of my teachers. I've had various great teachers, from Buddhist monks to various swamis. A lot of my teachers that were swamis are also Western doctors and psychiatrists and psychologists. So one of my teachers in class said to me, he was a leading psychiatrist for 40 years. So he was one of the heads in different psychiatric hospitals, and he had his own practice and all that. He was like the consulting psychiatrist. He said just in class that the techniques that I'm teaching you are far more powerful than anything in the West. So that's coming from a doctor and a psychiatrist.
Yeah, right. So someone who's done
a
lot of the things from his experience. He's going, you know what, that one's got a lot of juice.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying that we don't need a doctor. I have a lot of respect for doctors and that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm not saying
don't
stop your medications and things like that. I get that. However, if we incorporate this as a holistic practice, once again, we're using the asanas to strengthen the body physically. We're using it to improve our cardiovascular system, our respiratory system. Just this has a powerful effect on your health. And then if you're using the meditation to cleanse and purify the subconscious mind, there's other myriad practices for your digestive system, to cleanse your digestive system. The Tratak practices are concentration techniques to purify the mind. And then depending on your temperament and your state of evolution, you might want to go deep into Bhakti Yoga, which is, there's a lot of practices to develop your connection with your higher reality. Other people might be just want to purely just work on a physical level. So there's a myriad of practices. Hey, thanks for watching. If you're serious about becoming a confident certified meditation teacher, then I've created a free video training and a PDF guide on 10 steps to becoming a confident certified meditation teacher. In this training and guide, you'll discover everything that you need to get started, even if you've never taught meditation before. Simply click the link in the description to get access to the free training. There's no charge for it, and I hope you enjoy it. Opposite of that, there's far more effective techniques that can assist you to manage the trauma, which we can go into as well. Meditative techniques, yogic techniques. The challenge you have is, if you do that breathing every day for a long period of time, you just do that for one day. What's happening in the whole world is everybody is living their rapid mouth breathing, they're anxious and they're nervous. That's accelerating what is happening to the whole world. And that's why so many people are ill because of their breathing patterns. So that is accelerating that process. So if you were to do those breathing techniques every day for a month, I think you'd be in big trouble. However,
you couldn't do it. There's no way I could do it. I mean, sure, I could force myself to do it, but it's not comfortable.
It's not comfortable. So if you do that every day, you're probably going to trigger something serious stress-related illness. So you look at the opposite of that.
Yeah. Let's
look at the opposite of that. So let's say we start off doing some basic gentle yoga asanas that you're talking about all this compression. So what if we were to do some heart openers, back bends?
So asanas are physical.
Yoga asana. So let's work on there's a model. So the model that I like to use, which the methodology is from what is called the Taittiriya Upanishad, which is Upanishad 5000 BC. So within,
a little while ago.
500 BC, sorry. So within that, the context of that text, the second chapter called the Anandavali, they provide you with a model of human evolution from the physical realms to, we can go to the higher realms of the individual consciousness or your soul, also to experience your connection with the universal consciousness. You don't have to have any religious beliefs or go that far. So this is a representation of the model. The outer layers. The chakra system can be integrated in this as well, which makes it even more powerful. So the first layer is called the Annamaya Kosha. So it's related to the physical body. And it's also a big component there is the food and intake. But it's not just food, it's energy you take from people, energy you take from your surroundings, and also the food and preparing your physical body for the transcendence into the higher states and all for optimal health. The next layer is called the Pranayama Kosha, which is related to the energy and it's primarily related to the breathing techniques. The next layer is called the Manamaya Kosha, which is related to our mental and emotional processes. And then the next layer is called the Vijnanamaya Kosha, which is the wisdom aspect, and it's related to tuning into your individual consciousness, and it's also, we can integrate the Agana chakra in there as well. And this is operating on high levels of wisdom, intuition, and higher states of consciousness. So if we were to use this model simplified, I like to use it because it's easy to memorize, and you can integrate many other practices from tantric texts, Patanjali yoga system, Buddhism into this framework. But as opposed to put yourself in a really stressful state, if we were to just do some gentle asanas to open up our breathing, to release that pressure on the heart, we can breathe a bit more efficiently. Then there's many pranayama practices, but let's just say we were to just do some diaphragmatic breathing, where we increase our lung capacity. Most of us only use about a third of our lung capacity. And additionally, when we mouth breathe, we're not really working on the diaphragm, which is increasing our oxygen intake and our tidal volume of our breath. So if we practice the diaphragmatic breathing, the full yogic breath, that will start to expand it will open up our chest, open up our the bronchial tubes. We can breathe more efficiently. This is bringing us into the parasympathetic nervous system state, as opposed to that breathing would be the sympathetic, which is a fight-flight response. So that rapid mouth breathing is raising your blood pressure and it's putting you into the sympathetic nervous system state, which is most people in society, stress, anxiety, are operating in that state, even when they go to sleep, because they're still stressed and worrying. So that breathing patterns you're modeling, people have asthma, cardiovascular diseases, hypertension. So if we do the opposite and just start with some yogic breathing, you're increasing your lung capacity, you're massaging your digestive system. That's interesting you have those digestive problems, because the nose breathing and the diaphragmatic breathing has a positive effect on your digestive system, and it massages your liver, kidneys, spleen too. It doesn't happen if we do that, see?
Wow.
So if you breathe, plus you're pressurizing the breath. There's a myriad of practices. So if we were to do that, then we're shifting into a more relaxed parasympathetic state just by doing a little bit of stretching. We don't even have to do the stretching. We can just do some basic yogic breathing.
Yeah.
And then if we were to simplify it and then just start to watch our breath, and then we let the breath just come back to its natural rhythm. So when we're consciously aware of our breathing, it becomes a process of the more evolved brain. This is neuroscience as well. As opposed to you're not in control of your... Could you do any complex task if you were doing that?
Probably not.
Probably not. See, so, and then the more you do it, you're not functioning cognitively. The other thing too is that breathing. There's less oxygen to your brain. It inhibits your cognitive functions as well of your thinking processes and your ability to do anything.
Wow.
So, where am I heading with this? So that's just a simple 2-step breathing practice. We can integrate the pranayama technique Nadi Shodan to balance hemispheres of the brain and all that. But let's just look at this model as the opposite of what you're teaching, because they're saying that it's bringing this traumatic experience. So what if you were to put yourself into this calm, peaceful state? We're doing a little bit of asanas or just yogic breathing. Then we're just watching the breath. We're now operating in a calmer, relaxed, peaceful state from the higher functionings of the more evolved brain. And then when we come into these meditative states, then what will happen over a period of time, these unpleasant experiences will arise from your subconscious mind. And in this elevated state, you can understand them. If you let them to keep on rising, you focus on the breath. And then there's all advanced techniques where we also guide the breath up and observe what's happening from this called the Chittakash. So the Chittakash is the seat of your individual consciousness. When we watch and observe from here and witness those events, what happens is over a period of time, sometimes quickly, the emotional charge of those past experiences starts to dissipate. So the experience is always there, but it starts to dissipate. And the energy of that emotional past experiences over a period of time and with other techniques start to release the emotional charge. And then you no longer have that unpleasant reaction to those events, because people are carrying stuff for the whole life.
Yeah.
Trauma. So the trauma over a period of time will start to dissolve and release. And then we witness what's happening. And then from that space, we can use analytical meditation techniques to realize that there's a myriad of analytical techniques, and then visualization techniques, sankalpas. There's a myriad of other techniques that we can use that will assist us to empower us to think more positively, to realize that that was a past experience and now we're focusing on the future, and we can use mantras and sankalpas to reprogram our subconscious mind and to also develop a clear vision for our future and to create plans and all that. So and that's reprogramming your subconscious mind. It's rewiring your brain, and there'll be a myriad of other chemical processes that happen in the brain, dopamine, serotonin. There's all these other chemicals that get produced when we're in these deep meditative states.
Yes, that does. I've got to say, it makes a lot of sense to be able to access that from a place of calm and a place of focus, instead of a place of it being forced upon you.
Plus, it's forced on you too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's it, because, for instance, coming back to the recent experience that I had where I was crying and there were people coming around to kind of help us and guide us through things, and he was saying, just let go. And then at the end of it, people shared their experience and what experience came up for them, and some people were saying things about their relationship. That
might be useful. Yeah, that could be useful. Yeah.
For me, I didn't know what it was about. Like I didn't know what I was upset about. It's not like that whatever came up for me was specific. I just invoked it by doing that breathing. Whereas I guess I understand what you're saying. If you can be in a place where you are not squeezing it out of yourself, and you can actually sit and observe it calmly and then address it. That does seem like it's a much healthier place to be addressing this from.
such a healthier place. Yeah.
So how would one? Okay, so the state of consciousness you're describing. How would one kind of invoke these traumas that they're holding on to? Do they just come up when they're ready to come up, or do you?
They will.
Because a lot of time people don't even know what they are.
Yeah. So that's a challenge. The other little challenge, if we were to go into that, is the way meditation is commonly taught is to stop your thoughts, still your mind. You need to clear your mind. So
people try as hard as they can.
They try as hard as they can. Yeah. So what happens is, if these experiences that they need to work on, and look, I've been meditating for 20 years. I still need to daily meditate and work on, the challenging environment we're living in. If you don't let it to rise, then you suppress it, and it keeps on storing in your body. Because the body, your mind is, we want solutions. We're human beings. So it's asking for help, but you're just going, no, suppressing it. Stop your thoughts, still your mind. And then the problems, and then they start to ruminate and loop. See what I mean? So, and this is not helpful. And then you get more anxious, and this could create panic attacks as well. So,
well, I will say when I had, and I haven't been able to adopt a meditation practice as much as I had in the past since having our daughter. Life's a little bit hectic.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Before that, I had a really great meditation practice. Every morning, I would sit and the one thing that I observed, which I thought which I battled with, but actually realized was a really good thing, was that exact thing. I think a lot of people sit, you're told, okay, so you're going to focus on your breath, and you're just going to watch your breath, and then when your mind wanders, that's when you notice that your mind has wandered, then you need to come back to your breath, right? So what I would do is I realized that in meditation, the things that my mind would wander to quite often were things that were troubling me.
Of course, yeah.
And that annoyed me, because I was like, oh, that shouldn't be here. I should be focusing on my breath. But then I realized, oh no, that's why this is happening, because I need to process this.
Totally.
So then I would go, oh, cool, maybe I take a break from the exercises of coming back to the breath, and just go, what is this thing coming up for? What is it trying to tell me?
Yeah.
And sometimes it would just be some contentious argument I saw on YouTube, but it's just playing over in my mind. And then it would, if I gave it enough attention, it would actually go, and it wouldn't come up anymore. And it's like, I needed to process it somehow.
Yeah, of course.
And then after the meditation had finished, it was gone. And I wasn't carrying around this someone else's anger from a YouTube argument that I watched.
Because your mind has a natural, it's just as if we hurt ourselves, cut ourselves, the body heals. The brain is the same.
Yeah.
But just on that topic, utilize the breath. The breath is a powerful tool, but you also need to let stuff arise and witness it. So the breath is the powerful tool that we utilize to get us into a more calmer, peaceful state. And then as you're letting that stuff arise, we're still focusing on the breath, or the Chakras, which is more of a tantric practice. So utilize the breath. The breath is a powerful tool, but you also need to let stuff arise and witness it. So the breath is the powerful tool that we utilize to get us into a more calmer, peaceful state. And then as you're letting that stuff arise, we're still focusing on the breath, or the Chakras, which is more of a tantric practice. So it sounded like you were struggling with using your breath there. You utilize that breath as that tool to assist you into those states.
Yeah.
And you keep on, it's not like you trying to reject the thoughts and come back to the breath for a solution. You're witnessing and watching everything as you're focusing on the breath, and you're just letting it arise.
Yes. Well, that is the process that took me a little while to get the hang of.
Yeah.
I was being so pragmatic about going, well, the meditation practice that I'm doing tells me that I need to observe when my mind has wandered and bring it back to the breath. So I was focusing too much on, no, ignore the thoughts, come back to the breath.
No, but you're.
And then I realized
it sounds like you're fighting with your breath too. You're not fighting with anything. You're utilizing that breath.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that I realized is, so when I'm not, which at the moment I'm not, when I'm not meditating and I'm not having that process of observing the thoughts that are coming up that I need to deal with, and I'm not doing that, what's that doing to me in my everyday life and in my psyche and in my interactions with other people when I'm not kind of getting that stuff or processing that stuff that's frustrating me?
It's anger, and it comes out because you're not releasing it.
Well, you know what's interesting?
It's accumulating.
I've been unwell in this year more times than I have been in my life, I think. And I guess it's,
really.
being a new dad and being sleep deprived.
Yeah. Oh, well, the sleep is the other thing too. Yeah.
Trying to just hang on and not having an outlet.
Yeah.
Not meditating.
Yeah.
I haven't been working out as much as I used to. Just been trying to hang on and be a good provider and be a good dad. But and I guess as a man, we tend to kind of internalize our stress, which in turn is probably making me sick. I don't know.
I think if you view that as differently, for you to, because obviously your daughter's going to be taking in your energy.
Yeah.
Like, you're doing your best, you're trying to help her, but for you to help her the best, you need to look after yourself as well.
You're totally right.
So there's the,
right.
So you're meaning really well, but because kids, they're just going to absorb everything. But so you need to start to structure in time for yourself, and to doing stuff like this is great too.
So the one Buddhism that I read, that was the main takeaway that I got from Buddhism was the best thing you can do for the world. And correct me if I'm butchering this, but the best thing you can do for the world is to work on yourself and get yourself to a healthy place spiritually.
Yeah, because then you're just influencing everybody else around you. Yeah, totally. And
that's interesting because it's easy to want to go, I'm gonna help everyone else. I'm gonna save the world. I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna do that. But if that's coming, just what you described, if that's coming from a place that isn't healthy in myself, well then what I'm putting out there, it's probably not quite going to be right, is it?
It's not going to be received.
Yeah, right. Well, that's a good point. Yeah, it's not even going to come across.
Yeah, but you do need drive, and it's another topic too. In these yogic texts, there's this desire and transcendence to live your life's purpose and to take action on achieving your goals and all that. That's in the philosophy as well, which some modern teachers will teach you to not have any goals and don't have any dreams, as they do the exact opposite.
Yeah, right.
Totally opposite. They tell all their students, don't have any goals, don't have dreams, just be.
Yeah.
And then
I'm accumulating following all over the world. And,
massive following, big homes, cars. You don't need money. Yeah, so that's.
Well, that was that Osho guy. There was a documentary.
Osho. We can talk about Osho, but
I don't look. And
I've researched Osho. I've researched all these gurus. So yeah.
I mean, I've seen that what is it? Wild Wild Country is the documentary on Netflix.
That's
as far as my research goes. Obviously, they've got an angle, but it doesn't look good for him.
Yeah.
The other thing is, sorry, just to cut off. I did listen to, because I wanted to try and be objective and not just take their word for it. So I did listen to a bunch of his teachings and talks, and I was like, this is good stuff. A lot of the stuff that he was saying was like, this is some profound stuff. But yet that you watch the documentary and doesn't look good.
It doesn't look, some things don't look good with Osho, but Osho is one of the ones that he practiced what he preached.
Okay.
So he wasn't teaching them don't have any goals, don't have any dreams, sex is bad, and then doing the exact opposite.
Right.
He just practiced what he preached and lived his life like that. So whether that's right or wrong, and there are some interesting things that happened when he was in America and they tried to take over towns and things like that. Yeah. But
what was his? Did he have a specific spiritual or religious tie that he was teaching, or was it his own philosophies?
I think he's drawn it from different.
Oh, okay.
There's thousands of
texts.
So
he was his own. He was, I don't want to be derogatory, but I guess a guru that was kind of had his own philosophical outlook that people were following, right? It's not like he was teaching the ways of just Buddhism.
No, he's probably more of a different switch on tantric philosophy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Tantra is one of those things that I wanted to definitely talk to you about, because I'm sure that as soon as I say Tantra, a lot of people immediately just think, oh, sex. You know, Sting does tantric sex.
Yeah.
And that's kind of as far as people understand it. But it's obviously, that's not it at all. Can you talk to me about what Tantra is, where it comes from?
Yeah. So the thing with Tantra, it is not like other, we don't really want to even consider it as a religion. It's more like a science from how to us to live our life. Just on that topic of our sexuality, it is only a very small component of the vast volumes of tantric texts. So we're talking 1 to 3% or something.
Yeah, right. One little chapter.
So it's a small component. However, the tantric philosophy is one of the only philosophies that addresses our sexuality, as opposed to Christianity and all these other gurus. They're all suppressing it, all telling you it's bad. Whereas the tantric philosophy is that we embrace everything in life. So we're all part of this creation. We aim to create heaven on earth, because we don't really know if there is a heaven. So the basic tantric philosophy is for us to live a fulfilling life. If we have goals and dreams, we live out our goals and dreams, and then and we live out our desires, but with the respect and free will of other people. Excuse me. So we're not forcing our views. We're not hurting anybody. So we're living our life to the fullest with the respect of other people, and we're not hurting anybody, or there's no dogma in this. So it does embrace the sexuality as a way for some people, but it's only a very small component in the different texts.
Okay.
So there's a basic overview of that. If you're ready to turn your passion for meditation into a new rewarding career, then I've created a free video training and a new PDF guide on 10 steps to becoming a confident, certified meditation teacher, even if you've never taught meditation before. Simply click on the link in the description to get access to the free training.
One of the methods of yoga that has always been very fascinating to me is Kundalini yoga.
Kundalini yoga.
Do you know a lot about Kundalini?
Yeah, I've run various workshops, and I've just taught some classes recently on.
Okay, talk to me. School me.
Okay.
Let me just tell you the context of what I've seen.
Yeah, tell me the context of what you're seeing, and what your belief is, and I'll give my take.
Yeah.
Once again, we'll probably just dispel some of the myths, but yeah, let's go into. Let's talk about that,
so
please.
Kundalini just seems to be one of the ones that it's the most fascinating to me, because I've seen footage of people doing, these back bends and all, and there's a lot of twisting and physical things that, and I've done a couple of classes, but I've seen footage of people doing Kundalini practices and then having basically a fit, and I don't know what's happening or what is supposed to be happening, but it seems as though there's some monster coming out of them, and they're having a complete purge of. Okay. So that's kind of why it's so intriguing to me, because I have instantly I'm like, bullshit. But there's also
you're calling a bullshit, great. Okay.
Well, there's also part of me that goes, yeah, but is it? Is it really true? Because there's half of me that wants to go, I don't believe that. That's nonsense. The other half wants to go, is it though? You know what I mean?
Great. That's a great question.
My personal experience is I haven't experienced that. So that's why that's nonsense. But that doesn't, the other half of me is saying, well, just because I haven't experienced it doesn't mean it's bullshit. So I kind of have one foot in, one foot out.
Yeah. It's good you're curious, and it's good you're asking these questions, because some people, they have a bit of blind faith.
Yeah, and I think that can get you into trouble.
Yeah.
I try and maintain it.
Within the guru, the blind faith. Yeah.
Yeah. A healthy level of skepticism, but still go down the path.
Yep.
Being prepared to go, okay, now that's enough proof for me to walk away. Or, oh, wow, I've just discovered something that is quite miraculous that I never would have discovered if I had just called bullshit and never wandered down. So
let's discuss that, because there is, as you describe it, let's call it what Okay, so one of my teachers, once again, lived in India. She wrote a book on the Kundalini Upanishad, which is one of the developments of, if we were to utilize the chakras, that was one of the later texts that was an evolution of, there are traces of energy centers, at least symbolically in the Rig Veda, but then that's evolved once again up to the time of now, to the Hatha Yoga Pradipika and other texts that go deeper into the chakras and lots of cleansing practices, etc. Once again, the Kundalini yoga that is taught in the West is the one that is common and famous is derived from a Sikh teacher who I think just made up his own style, okay? Right. And it became very famous and popular. There's a lot of, if you research that guru, once again, there's not a lot of people, his followers not saying a lot of pleasant things about him. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, and there's lawsuits and there's all sorts of, he actually had a security company, a big security company in America. So that's sort of some of the, and he was a big businessman. Okay. A lot of followers. Okay. That's the make of this thing. Yeah. So once again,
so he was good at, he was a good businessman. Yeah.
He was a good businessman. Yeah. And he built a big following. Okay. Yeah. And it seemed like some of his dealings were not that ethical as well.
Right. But which is interesting coming from a yoga practitioner, teacher, instructor, you would think that if you're going to get into that, it has to start from an ethical place. Like if you're going to be a stockbroker, okay, cool. No one's expecting you to be focused solely in ethics. I mean, I think you should in anything you do in life, but I would expect it more so from a yoga teacher than a stockbroker. Let's put it that way.
However, so the techniques that Yogi Bhajan was teaching, right, are not really traditional techniques that have been evolved and transitioned. Well, there's so many techniques, it's hard to say, but the techniques that Yogi Bhajan was teaching, once again, there's these rapid movements. I think they're teaching some sort of mouth breathing techniques. It's a little bit out of control.
Yeah.
So, for example, when I teach classes, you'll see that I'm teaching it's like a meditative practice, the whole yoga class.
Right.
There's no rapid mouth breathing. There's no rapid jerking movements.
So you're starting and keeping people in a place of peace and calm. And so to you, it's very important to maintain that.
Yeah, because our lives are radical enough as it is.
Yeah, no, hey,
but it's certain people. Maybe certain gurus have their ways where they hit students with sticks and
they try to invoke something beyond.
Yeah, so let's just go my philosophy and what I think is useful for our modern daily life. Maybe some people might need to be shocked and kicked up the bum and stuff like that. But so I my view from all my study and research, a lot of that style of yoga is not a Kundalini yoga anyway. Okay, it's labeled as Kundalini yoga. Okay, so it's not Kundalini yoga to me, and I've done those classes too, and I don't like that style of yoga. Sure. Yeah, I teach the exact opposite.
So what is what you understand as the legitimate original Kundalini yoga?
So you're talking about the bullshit about Kundalini yoga. I would say that it is one of the most powerful systems that you can utilize to heal and transform your life. Okay. If done correctly.
That's a very important caveat.
You see what I mean?
If done correctly.
So, yeah. So the chakra, let's just venture off on that. So I don't believe that what is commonly taught in the West by certain sects is really Kundalini yoga.
Sure.
I think it shouldn't be. It's labeled.
Okay.
Like McDonald's or something. It's become popular.
Fair enough. I mean,
fair enough. Yeah. So if we were to look at the chakra system, it's an extremely powerful model of evolution, healing, and transformative experience. So starting off from the Muladhara, let's start off. Many people start with chakra meditations and the Kundalini from the Muladhara chakra, which is related to, it's related to the earth element. It's related to a sense of safety and security in our life. The location is a perineum in men and the cervix for women. So this is our basic physical way of interacting with the universe. It's related to our safety, security, and our physical body.
So this is an energetic center.
Yes, but it can be viewed from different lenses as well. It can be viewed from as a spiritual level. It can be viewed of more philosophically, or we can just integrate into our modern lives, just a way of living our life with more safety and security. Because if we have all this fear, then it creates a stress and anxiety,
right.
And then we're breathing the wrong way, and this enhances that. So the Muladhara chakra does go deeper. All the flowers have different meanings. The Sanskrit word has a meaning. It's like the Shi yantra. Still the symbols have these, and the animals and all have their specific meanings, which is probably another topic. And it has mantras as well.
Right.
So the Muladhara, and if we don't have that strong foundation, it affects all areas of our life. Financial security, emotional security, fear.
Right. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's
the base.
Yeah, it starts physically at the bottom. That's
Yeah.
how we can understand it.
That's where we can understand it. So
if that's rocky, good luck.
Yeah, it affects everything in your life.
Yeah.
So let's view this from a lens of evolution. So then a way of living, once again, it's these other techniques. There's suppression of desires. There's don't have any goals, don't have any dreams, stop your thoughts, still your mind. So what I'm introducing here is pretty much the exact opposite of what most people are teaching in the world.
Yeah.
And it's classified as a tantric practice, once again, so integrating Shiva and Shakti, that Shiva and Shakti tantric concept, which is uniting. The basic tantric philosophy is you're uniting your energy, which is the Shakti energy, with consciousness. So that's the whole thing. You're uniting your energy with higher consciousness.
Okay.
In order to do that, we integrate this chakra system to cleanse and purify different energy centers, so the energy flows up the spine, and then that's how you get your connection with your faith and your higher reality. So it's like a system of evolution. I think in Christianity they talk about seventh heaven or something, 7 stages.
Okay.
Interesting parallel there too.
Yeah.
So
and it's 7 chakras.
Traditionally there's 114, but there's minor chakras.
Oh wow.
And there's also other chakras above that in the astral realms. So on the topic of, let's briefly, maybe we can go deeper into this, into another concept. So the chakras represent areas of our life that we need to work on in order for us to free the energy up through the spine.
Okay.
And then the energy flows up, and then we to the Agni chakra, which is our command center. And then the Sahara chakra is not in the physical body. It's in the dimension outside of the body. And there's also a Bindu point, which is a connection with the high consciousness. So the basic premise of that is to uniting yourself with a higher consciousness. In order to do that, but we have to work on our different aspects of our personality and also the physical body, because the chakras are located around certain organs and glands. And the Hatha chakra is the cardiac plexus, so it's related to our heart and the cardiovascular system. The Vishuddhi chakra is related, on a physical level, the glands are the thyroid gland, which is very important for the production of chemicals in the body. If the thyroid gland is unhealthy, many people get ill, and many women, that's another topic, they have under or overactive thyroid problems, and then the doctors take their thyroid out, which I think, once again, that could be prevented or improved with yogic practices. Digestive system is other organs that are around the Manipura chakra. So that's on a physical level. So all these Hatha yoga cleansing practices can be utilized to help us with our digestive system, cardiovascular system, and the thyroid gland. So that's on a physical level, how that is a very powerful model. And the yoga asanas and specific techniques, breathing pranayama practice can be practiced specifically for these on a physiological level. So that's just looking at it from the lens of the human body as matter. And then we can integrate aspects of our life. So once again, the tantric philosophy they don't suppress desires or things like that. However, we need to live our life operating from the Agana chakra, from the wisdom. So we operate in life, we live our life to the fullest. We try and create heaven on earth, but it's done from the lens of wisdom and respecting the free will of everybody and not hurting or anybody. So then we're going into the components or the aspects of our psyche and our personality. So the Muladhara chakra is related to safety and security. Then we have the Swadhisthana chakra, which is related to the water element. It's related to our sexuality, and it's also related to us experiencing and having joy in life. So, but from the wisdom of Agana, respecting the free will. And so that's the Swadhisthana chakra. Our reproductive system is the organs that's structured around. On that topic too, where there is blocked energy, according to yogic science, that's where illnesses occur.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Manipura chakra is related to our energy and our vitality and us living a dynamic life and having the energy to achieve our goals and to, so we're not always tired and that. So that's related to our digestive system on a physiological level. Anahata chakra is a heart chakra. So that's obviously a very important concept, cardiovascular system. And on that topic there, just some of these, like we talk about the heart, if we have a relationship breakup and something, we start to feel pain in the chest and things like that. Yeah. So it's quite interesting parallel with that. Vishuddhi chakra, purification and living our life. Its key components are communicating effectively and communicating our needs in life as well. So that's related to one aspect of that chakra. Agana chakra is the command center. The location for that is the pituitary gland. And so this is where we want to operate from to analyze the rest of the chakras and what we need to do in life. And then it's said, when we cleanse and purify the chakras, there's one major spinal energy center called the Sushumna. There's the Ida and Pingala, which is positive and negative polarities. And then there's a Sushumna. When they're cleansed and purified, the energy flows up to the Agana and then out into your connection with your faith. Or just energetically, you're connecting with a higher energy.
Okay.
Or you can just go to the Ajna and just turn into the best possible version of yourself, physically, mentally, emotionally. And we have faith in our ability to live in life and to live a happy, successful life. So we don't even, depending on the realms that you want to go.
Right.
And then the Taittiriya Upanishad's kosher model is integrated in that as well. So you can see how, I'll let you talk in a sec, you can see how these systems are, it's a very powerful, integrated systems.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just stop your thoughts, still your mind.
Yeah.
There's this, it's a holistic, powerful, there's no bullshit. It's a holistic, powerful system. So the chakra system and the Kundalini is one of the most powerful systems. And then we're integrating all those other techniques that I spoke to you as well. We're integrating all these other powerful meditative techniques, visualization techniques to develop a clear vision for our future. We can go deep into analytical techniques that analyze certain areas of our life and what we need to release and let go of or what we need to work on. It's incredible, powerful system done correctly. Rapid movements and all that. It's not done with awareness. And I think there's other motives there again for some of that.
Well, that's, so many questions about this stuff. So okay. Firstly, in theory, then, if you're having digestive problems, and that was, which chakra is that related to?
It's a Manipura chakra.
Okay, so let's say a person's having digestive problems.
And
that what was the aspect of their life that chakra also relates to?
It's our energy and our passion and our dynamism. And some of the chakras, personal attributes are linked, and there's different levels.
So would you say that would it be typical that a person who's having digestive problems is also happens to be having a lack of drive in their life and the things that they are striving for or not striving for, and that if you can get one of those in order, it will that will kind of fix itself.
It will help.
Yeah, right. Because I guess what I'm trying to get at is are these things? Because I think a lot of it's very easy to look at things pragmatically and just go, I'm having digestive problems, or physically, and just go, I'm having digestive problems, or I'm having brain fog, and the system that we live in here in the West says, well, for that you need to either take this medication or you need to stop eating that, right? But there's this chakra system tell us that it's all related energetically, and you can put things into place to clear that without having to abide to the way that we say you only fix problems in the West, as far as health and that stuff is related. Yeah, well, we can relate to you on that topic there. They're all connected as well, right? So they're all connected. So let's just look at, you didn't have any energy, and we all do this sometimes. We eat, unhealthy food. Yeah. Okay, so its effects, we start to feel pain in the stomach, and then that affects our energy. What it also does, interestingly, is when we eat these unhealthy foods, it creates mucus in the nose, which affects our inability to breathe through the nose, and we can tend to mouth breathe more as well. So that actually comes back to my earlier question of why do people not know how to breathe? Well, because their lifestyle is causing them to not be able to breathe through their nose. Yeah, and if you breathe through your mouth too much, what happens is the mucus gets created because you have too much. Yeah, you can't breathe through your mouth. You have too much oxygen. Right. So what happens is the physiology process in the brain is it creates mucus in your nose to slow down the oxygen. So it's trying to balance. Yeah, it's trying to balance for you. Yeah. Because but it's trying to fix the problem that came from you eating pizza. Or breathing too much through the mouth. Yeah, right. Mucus gets created too. Okay. So that's the other benefit of that. That makes sense. Now I understand why. Because trying to figure out why can people not breathe? Well, it's a lifestyle. It's a habit too. Yeah. I feel like we've barely scratched the surface. We barely scratched the surface. You've just given me you've said so much profound stuff, and I've just got so many more questions. Yeah, it's great. So we need to do this again many more times, because I got lots of questions, more about the Kundalini and about. Yeah. I want to talk to you about psychedelics. I want to talk to you about altered states of consciousness with psychedelics, without psychedelics. Getting to different places in the realm of consciousness through meditation. I'm sure we can talk for hours and hours just on that alone. Absolutely, yeah. And I really appreciate you having me. Thank you. It's been a great chat. It's fantastic to have you here, and I'm looking forward to more chats. And it's great that you had some positive effects with your asthma. It's been huge. It inspires me. Oh, mate, it's all come from you, so thank you. Yeah, thank you. Cheers, mate. Just to start. All righty. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this insightful. And as a reminder, if you'd like to take your meditation practice to the next level, and also may perhaps become a confident certified meditation teacher, then you can download my 10 steps to becoming a confident world-class meditation teacher. The link is in the description. This guide is full of insightful, actionable, helpful techniques.